what makes sense within a process so complex as this one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar Cracking the US Visa Algorithm. Today, we'll help you avoid common pitfalls and enhance your chance of success. My name is Angelica Orozco from Visa Solutions Center, and I'm excited to have you with us today. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our expert presenter, Jorge Quiroz, who will guide you through the algorithm of the US visa process. Jorge, the floor is yours.
All right, guys, this is another episode of Beyond Borders. All right, this is the second episode. We're going to be talking about the algorithm of the visa application for USA. All right, I'm the Director of Development and Operations at Visa Solutions Center. I've been traveling around the world and I've been getting my visa multiple times. So I'm going to be walking you through this process, to make sure that you are able to come out the other way successful. Okay. 3 out of 10 applications to go to the USA are rejected or denied because of simple reasons, because of, incomplete fields within the application form, or simple errors like, maybe you were single and then you put married by accident. These errors, or maybe you skipped out some information from your past employers that could have been deterministic or could define the success of your application. Now, 3 out of 10 is a lot. It's 1 out of 3 people that apply for the US visa will get it denied just for dumb reasons. Now, we want to take those dumb reasons out of the board. So let's see what are the common issues that arise during this process, okay? Now, there's no set criteria for the visa officer to say, I'm going to give this one and I'm not going to give that one. It does depend a lot on public policy that, governors and presidents and legislation in general, or country situation can influence during this term. Now, there are some aspects that we're going to evaluate over here that are known parts of the algorithm that do improve your chances or do add towards your chances of getting a visa. All right. But just to be clear, there's no clear or specific, like checks that the embassy officer will look at just to say, yes, oh, this guy has all these, that's not even interview them. So that's why we have to look into the whole process itself to be able to identify which are the criteria that we're going to be following. Okay. Now, there are really hard rejection rates, and this, not just depends on the country where you're applying, but it also depends on, as I said before, public policy. This sometimes can disencourage some people from applying, and obviously will serve as additional, mental charge or mental overload for people that want to apply, because they're gonna get, they're gonna be a little bit more nervous, thinking like, hey, I'm there's a high chance that I'm gonna get rejected. So that is something that also influences during the process. Also, inconsistent outcomes. Sometimes there are people that have both of them the same criteria, the same specifications, but at the moment of the interview, one gets in, the other one doesn't. So there's inconsistent outcomes, which in this case are much more related to the interview itself and the answer that the person provides, and obviously the criteria of the officer at that point. That's why we need to prepare, okay? Now, misleading information that you're going to find online. You're going to find online a bunch of information related to this, but you need to be able to pinpoint what makes sense and what doesn't make sense within a process so complex as this one. So we need to make sure that we get right information. And obviously, not knowing exactly what are the aspects or the criteria for a successful application, and what are the documents that need to be attached to that application, is something that also, makes a lot of people fall into denial during the process. Okay, not having enough documentation or not being clear in the documentation, that's something that will really affect your application. Okay, now how can we make sure that we don't fall into this denial hole, because it does affect profoundly once you get denied? Well, first, we got to understand what the criteria in general term is, what's the algorithm, and start understanding how we can interact with it to make sure that everything turns out well. So this is the algorithm that we've identified and that we've been able to assess with various experts in the field of visa applications and former visa officers. Okay, these are the factors that really add towards your climb to the top of the approval list. Okay, first, we need to make sure that we have complete and accurate documentation. Okay, making sure that for our case scenario, we can demonstrate, if necessary, all the elements that are part of our application. Now, the documentation will not only help us to show the visa officer that we are saying the truth, but it will also help us prepare ourselves to be able to feel more confident and more reassured of the answer that we're going to give. So having the documentation will allow you to have like a cheat sheet or a study manual that we can align and make sure that whatever you say, it's consistent with what it's on the documentation. Now, that's the second part of the algorithm, the consistency in the information. We need to make sure everything's aligned. So by filling out the application and making sure that everything that's there, it's backed up by documentation, and that is legitimate documentation that we can assess that is consistent. If we're applying for a tourist visa, that we have a travel itinerary to do tourism, that we're not going to start saying, no, I'm going to do health treatment when we're applying for a tourist visa. They might work for the same thing, but if you don't have clear what your objective going to the USA is, you'll probably, just get a denial. So making sure that your documentation and the information that you have is consistent throughout. Now, we need to be able to provide strong ties, show that we have strong ties with the country. All right. As I said before in previous webinars, we have 4 pillars. We have the financial pillar, we have the social pillar, we have the family pillar, and we have the professional pillar. All right. And we need to make sure that we work around those 4 pillars to be able to, strengthen our application to a solid foundation. All right. Now, the next step that we need to make sure that we can show is financial stability, that, there's enough funds moving throughout our accounts in a consistent basis to be able to show that we'll be able to have enough money for the trip when we arrive to the United States for whatever reason we're going. And as I said before, having a clear purpose of the visit. I would say that this is one of the most important aspects of the application, just exactly knowing why you're going, not improvising, not, showing up at the booth or the interview to say whatever comes out on for you that day or whatever you feel like doing because you want to get your visa. That's not how this process works. You need to know exactly why you're going to the USA or why you're going to whatever destination you're headed. This will not only apply to the US visa, though the US visa is the most complex type of visa to be able to get. So, some aspects that will influence in the algorithm and the outcome, okay? Which in this case, if we're talking about algorithm, we're talking about basically like a math equation in a way. So all these things at the top allow us to add points, but then what comes down at the bottom divides those points between all those aspects. For example, if you manage to fill everything at the top, right? But then, when you start filling out your application, you missed some stuff or you weren't clear enough. That's something that's going to subtract or divide from your current efforts, right? Or maybe information that's not consistent, information that just it's all over the place, that, one thing doesn't back up another one. Your professional aspects, for example, you're a developer, but then you're going to the USA to do some gardening. And then, just all over the place, that is inconsistent information that will diminish your chances of getting a visa. And last but not least, and I would say most importantly, preparing yourself. Not having enough preparation is one of those aspects within the 3 out of 10 denials that most definitely add to that statistics. Don't be part of that statistics. Go to class, prepare yourself, and be prepared to get your visa. If you go prepared, and if you're able to answer in a confident and consistent manner all the questions that you get asked during the interview, at the other side, you'll be successful. Okay. Now, things that are going to help us and that are going to, multiply our chances of getting a visa, besides being able to complete all the requirements at the top, we need to make sure that we seek professional guidance. There are people that study this process, that understand this process, that have undergone this process multiple times, that have been able to help others throughout, many years to get their visas. This allows people to be able to identify things that maybe you as a normal, person that doesn't do applications every day, well, will not be able to pinpoint. And you might think that some things are good, but then when you, show it to an expert, the recommendation is contrary or is otherwise. All right. So, seek professional guidance, make sure that you're well prepared in that sense, that they provide you with a checklist that you can use to be able to identify what documents you need and have an organized folder of documents that will allow you to study and be able to, answer adequately in your interview. So that's the second point, just using checklist. We are going to provide in the description a checklist that you can use, a basic checklist that could apply to almost everybody. There are aspects that, depending on your case, might apply or not. But that checklist would really help you out throughout your process. You can check it out in the description. It's completely free, okay? Now, all this can be solved if you have at hand a tool that is amazing, that we've developed with, top of the line engineers, that really, really captures the essence of the whole visa application process. And that will allow you to actually be prepared for your visa, for your interview and for your application. Okay. And this is the readiness report. The readiness report is a report that we create with artificial intelligence that has been trained with thousands and thousands of cases that also get supervised by humans, that gets watched by humans throughout the whole process, to be able to provide you with risk assessments where we are going to pinpoint all the red flags that your process might have specific for your own process. A documentation checklist, as I said before, fundamental, but now not a general one, but a personalized checklist for yourself. Okay. Some interview preparation tips that will allow you to have a strategy around your interview, knowing exactly what you might get asked, but there is a higher chance of getting asked, and then being able to formulate answers that are concise and that are, personalized and unique for your case. Okay. Some country specific stats, as we said before, the country specific stats is just basically knowing what is the best moment for you to be able to apply for your visa in terms of country statistics, in terms of when is the best time throughout the year to apply. That is something that we really need to look at. Okay. Some application improvement tips, meaning, don't leave out of your application this. Make sure that you are more thorough around this aspect. Be a little bit more, detailed and profound within your itinerary, for example. And those are some improvement tips that will provide our everybody that gets the readiness report. And at the end, something that is just very, straightforward. The estimated success probability score. Having a score allows you to quickly address whether you're ready or not. We recommend that if you have a score of 70 or higher, you're good to go for your application. If you have a 70 or lower, there are some additional steps that you need to take. Okay. And if you decide not to take them, there's a higher risk of getting your visa denied. But if you follow the steps that are in your readiness report, there's a really, really high probability, in our case, around 92%, that you will get your visa. So this is a very amazing tool. Precisely this month until the 7th of July, 2024, you'll get access to a discounted version of the readiness report. The normal price is $399, but in this occasion, you'll be able to get it for $99. Now, how does it work? You might think, oh, I have to do a bunch of stuff, or I have to undergo a huge process. Not really. Purchase the report, fill out the form. It's a form that it takes you around 30 minutes to fill out, 30, 40 minutes if you have the information at hand. And then 24 hours later, you'll get your report instantly to your email or to your WhatsApp. Okay? So it's quite easy. It's very straightforward. There's no trick behind this. There's no, more than artificial intelligence that will be able to give you the right information, the information for your case, and, guarantee that you have a good tool at hand to get your visa. Okay? The idea for us is to make it easy, guys. That's why we're here. We're here to train you, to help you get your visa wherever you're going, to be able to positively get it. Okay? Thank you so much. Now, Angelica, I think we have
Hello.
a question.
Yeah. We have here some questions for you. The first one is the U.S. visa approval process intentionally opaque to discourage applicants from certain countries?
That is a very interesting question. Honestly, it does really depend on current policy around the government. I would say that there's no set quota of set number of approvals or set number of denials. But obviously, there are some places that are more prone to get their visa denied because, unfortunately, they don't have enough resources, or the education is not as good to be able to have those people provide a good application. But I wouldn't say that it's intentionally opaque for that, more than just really having a clear segmentation. The United States government is, a company. They want to receive adequate, visitors, people that will be able to get them resources, money, intelligence, or, be able to grow the country, help grow the country. So that's what they're looking for right there.
Okay, the next question. Do consular officers have too much discretion in the visa approval process, leading to inconsistent outcomes?
Okay. Well, keep in mind, these are people that are very professional, that have been very well trained in multiple aspects. They've been trained in body language, in fast reading, lie detection in some aspects. So yes, there's a lot of discretion because there is a lot of professionality right there. There's a lot of, education behind the process. It's not something that is at the discretion of moral attitudes of the officer. These are people that love their country, that, love what they do, that have a firm belief in what they're doing, and they understand the importance of what they're doing. So the discretion is based basically on their professional ability to execute this. So the United States government trusts these people because these people have undergone a very robust training, a very thorough training to understand, what it takes to give a visa out.
Okay, thank you. The next question is there a hidden bias in the visa algorithm that favors certain nationalities over others?
As I said before, there are countries, for example, European countries, they have access to better institutions, better educational institutions. They have access to better funding in terms of social security, better paying jobs. So this will definitely, come into play when you apply for a visa. You know, if you already have if it's easy for you to find a job that pays well enough, or for you to go to a school that allows you to, you know, reach a high degree of education, you know, those are things that obviously will help you. But within the algorithm itself, you know, I would say it's just a matter of common sense in a way. You know, would you want somebody that doesn't qualify to come into your business? You know, like we you know, you want somebody that can actually buy your products, that can actually represent for you something positive than something negative. So, you know, that's the bias that's behind it, but not really within the algorithm itself. It's just, you know, common sense in a way.
Okay, perfect. And the last question. Are high visa rejection rates a strategy to control immigration numbers under the guise of a strict application requirements?
The high migration rejection rates are more of a result of people that don't prepare themselves for the process. You know, if you kind of look into it, there are lower rejection rates in countries like Europe, in countries like Australia, in Asian countries. There's a lower rejection rate because, you know, those are cultures that are more keen to getting prepared, to visualizing, to trying to control the process in a more direct and more responsible manner. Now, in countries where, you know, education is not in optimal conditions, you know, there's a higher rate of rejection, because people tend to, you know, jump into processes without really, you know, knowing how the process is going to be, or if they even qualify. And then at the other side, there are also advisors that don't provide people the opportunity to be able to assess for themselves whether they should apply or not, whether they're ready or not, before charging these huge sums. So once again, as I said before, an amazing tool that's going to save you a bunch of money, tons of money for your process, that's going to allow you to visualize your process and even do the application on your own, you know, is the Readiness report. The Readiness report will be your Bible for this process. So very recommended, $99 only till the 7th of July. And, you know, we hope that it really serves you the purpose, okay?
That's it. Thank you all for the participation. We hope this webinar has provided you a clear understanding of how cracking the US visa algorithm. Remember, the key to a successful visa application is through preparation, and our readiness report is designed to help you to achieve your success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Angelica. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye, everybody.